an audience.
Ran the light, y'all.
Everyone, we're okay. There's nobody.
There's nobody. Yeah. Oh no. Car about to hit us in the back.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we should have prayed. We need some traveling mercies.
Oh, and he's walking his
There's
dog.
a dog in the street. Wow. Okay. It's me trying to back up.
Oh. We're backing up.
Listen, I'm doing a lot of illegal things today.
Wait.
This is car
because we were supposed to turn?
Yeah. Okay, well, God.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. We're gonna make it.
I'm actually driving like a lunatic right now. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Michelle. You're gonna live to see it happen.
Live. Period.
Okay,
Amen.
Just making sure this is not a one-way street. Okay. So, Michelle Anna.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
It's been a minute.
It's been a long time.
Period.
Without a dope beat. Step 2. What are you up to? What are you working on?
Well, I'm writing my book.
Yes.
I'm writing my book. Like, I've been in just this process of writing and trying to figure out what story I'm telling, you know, and what angles and like all these things, like what the reader is walking. It's like all this strategy to it. Sometimes you just have to do. And then like literally figure it out as you go.
I am super excited to be here with you. Thank you for taking this ride with me. Okay, so I'm gonna play a song for you, and let's hope that we can hear it. Let's hope. And the name is Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. This time I'm facing the music. Won't lose my mind. He's walking me through this. I finally realize, yes, I'm going through some things, and even if I feel away, I'll be okay.
Good. Wow.
So yes, that's okay.
Wow. I love how it's so relatable. Things that you said in this song, like lyrically, are things that I have personally said myself.
Really?
Yeah. Like, even in our like humanity and the things that we go through as humans, it's like hard to admit, like, man, I struggle with this anxiety. I don't know if I'm going to make it through. But here I am, like, I know I'm going to be okay. I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know how I'm going to be okay. But I'm going to be okay.
I love that. So, I think, okay, I don't know why. That just took me somewhere. But my question to you is, do you feel like you've been hopeful even through the pain or despair or hurt or drama or trauma and tragedy that you've walked through? Do you feel like you've always had that thing of like, all right, I know I'm gonna make it through this, I know I'm gonna be okay?
No, I feel like, dang, like I don't even know how to explain it, but at times, like, I think it's because I've been through a few traumatic situations, and I'm like, okay, God, if like you brought me through those things, like clearly you got something for me to do here and something for me to learn here. But I didn't always have that hope, and it was very scary because I'm almost like, this seems so impossible for you to do for me. I've seen you do it in other people, but I just don't know if you can do it for me. You know, like, I don't know if I am gonna be okay. And in those moments, it feels so daunting and almost like, is this even okay for me to say this? You know what I mean? You're just like, is this real? Is this real life? Like, are these actually my thoughts? But I've learned, like, to be honest with myself and with God, and be like, I'm not sure about this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't know how this is all gonna work out.
I think for me, learning how to be honest with God was the journey in and of itself. So I don't know if you remember, I put out a project called Back to Eden.
Yes.
And but that was supposed to be, so Journey was a part of that. It was supposed to be a double project with like this type of music and worship music that came out at the same time. That was called, the full thing was Journey Back to Eden. And the journey, the things that I had gone through, because the whole Back to Eden started with the Lord. I was in prayer one day and the Lord was like, okay, Naomi, like I was praying about something. And I was praying my corporate prayer, like
right
in this, private personal setting with the Lord. I'm praying this like very nicely tied up.
Right. We know how those are. Right.
Buttoned up prayers. And he was like, but you still have a loincloth on. He was like, take it off. You're praying to me from a place of, you're still covering. You're still covering up your nakedness. And I don't want you to do that. And, we know Adam and Eve, they got that loincloth because of the shame that they had. And they had to be covered in their humanity. And he was like, hey, but you were never meant to be covered in my presence. You were always meant to be completely naked and vulnerable in my presence. And so why are you coming to me with a loincloth? Why are you covering up when you're talking to me? And so that whole thing, even that whole like take me back to Eden, like I belong with you, I belong in your presence, that whole thing was about that. I'm gonna be honest though, I still feel like it's not until this project, because Journey was supposed to come out back then, but it couldn't, because I wasn't ready. I hadn't become vulnerable with the Lord still. You know what I'm saying? I was singing with it, I had a desire for it, but I wasn't there yet. And I think that this project is that, it's the complete vulnerability of saying, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't understand why I'm even here sometimes, but I trust you, and I know basically because you said it, not because I feel it, but I know I'm gonna be okay.
And I think I can imagine, right? Like even myself walking through that journey, I can imagine why that's so almost hard to be vulnerable, because once you speak it, like once you acknowledge like, oh snap, like this is what it is, it almost becomes more tangible and more real. And you're like, okay, now that I've recognized that I'm in this place, that I know that I'm not vulnerable, but I have the desire to be vulnerable, what do I do about it? So like, what was that like though for you? Like from that desire to then, like, what is that?
I just feel like for me, it was like, you just keep on living, because that's even We're Not Ready. The single is just like, Lord, I'm not ready to change. I'm not ready to do any of the things that I feel like you're going to require me to do, but I'm still going to come to you with it. And what I found was that in the honesty, in the vulnerability, that the Lord, there was just a way made. There was just a grace given. And I'm on the other side. I can't even tell you how. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I can't even tell you how. I feel like people want a blueprint of how. And we don't have one.
I don't have one.
Oh, that's so good.
That
part.
I don't. But why is that? Why do we always want a how when we have different experiences and different walks with the Lord, and it's not the same in every situation? Why is it that we always want a daggone blueprint and want somebody to tell us how exactly they did it in order for us to be okay to go through our process with the Lord?
Girl, I think it's because we find so much safety in knowing what's next. Like, okay, if there's a blueprint, I at least know what's next. If there's a blueprint, I at least know what direction I'm going, instead of literally walking through your unique relationship of vulnerability with God. And that, like I said, that is almost like unfathomable, because you don't know what's next with you and the Lord. Like, you don't know.
We really don't know.
Like, I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
So it's like the unknown, because I'm thinking about it, because I feel like there are people that feel like, well, if God told you something, like if God said it, then he would give you the details and he would tell you and blah blah. And I'm like,
no, he
what
don't.
God are you talking about?
Like, I mean, if that's the case, I need to know what y'all talk about, because I don't know. in my life, I feel like things happen and things like that, and it's almost like God is inviting me to make a decision, like, okay, what we gonna do here? Of course he course corrects and things like that, but I feel like half the time I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what's next.
Well, let's talk about it, because I think one of the reasons that people know you is because you've endured and suffered the loss of your husband.
Yes.
What was that? Because I know he was singing. Like,
he was literally in worship, rehearsing, singing "You Made a Way," and he seized and he literally died, like right there, which is already by itself, that scenario is already like, wait, what?
Right.
You were in worship, and then you were literally in worship with the Lord. Like, what? I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't have, when people ask me like, well, how or what? I'm like, that is how. That is what. I don't know anything else. Like, literally. And so, yeah, ever since then, that was now 5 years ago, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Ever since then, I feel like my journey has literally been almost like an invitation for people to kind of witness me figuring it out.
So it's like, because to me, I'm going, you wake up, maybe, I don't know, you got to kiss your husband goodbye, or be like, all right, bye, see you later, babe, whatever. And he doesn't come home, or you get a call, and now everything is different. And now you're literally living that out. Right. Is there still sometimes the fear of the unknown that something else might happen? Mind you, and that can happen to any of us at any moment. But like, how have you mastered, or are you, or have you, or how are you coping with or dealing with just the unknown?
Listen, that part right there is challenging. I've definitely not mastered that. I think I still have some trauma of like what my last experiences will be with people. And I'm always like, I want to make sure I leave people, well, you know what I mean? Like, I have this thing where I'm like, okay, I have to say bye, or like, there's always this thing in the back of my brain that is like, just in case.
Yeah.
And even recently I went through something with my father. Like, it was just so traumatic. Like, I think like hospitals and ambulances and all that stuff still kind of like create this crazy anxiety in me because of what happened with Curtis. And my dad recently, like, we had to call 911 because he wasn't breathing. He like struggles with asthma, and he just wasn't breathing. And to see my dad gasping for air like that, and then not knowing, like, oh my God, like, this could be it. My dad is older too. So I'm like, okay, I know the cycle of life. Like, that's not, like, I'm not, but, that was just that was just last week, Jesus. And I'm just like, oh my God, okay. I kind of was like, wow, my dad might not make it out of the hospital. And I just remember, like, God reminded me of like, no, your dad is going to see you married again. Like, your dad is going to get to meet your children. So just speak life. Go ahead and, have this moment, right? Go ahead and speak life over him. And my dad is literally at home now as if it never happened.
My God.
And I'm like, okay, but it still does not dismiss the reality of what I was feeling in that moment.
Yeah. What do you think about fair and versus unfair? Like, life being fair or unfair?
I think that's the current season.
Really?
Or even just like processing that is what it is, because I don't think I really understood that to be it. I think I think time is such an enemy of, like, in terms of like, it's good, but it's also like one of those things where, all right, like, how much longer do I need to experience, XYZ, or, time will remind you of how much older you're getting. And, I have desires. I'm like, like, I want kids. Like, I want this and I want that. How come so-and-so gets this? And how come so-and-so gets it? Like, why do I have to walk through this in this way? And so, yeah, like, I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think what God reminds me of is that, like, I have he's writing my unique story, and I don't know what people go through behind the scenes. Here I am, you know, looking at, oh my God, Lord, you did it again. I'm happy, but all right. That part.
It's this
that says it all.
Okay. You know what's crazy? I feel like because I got married so young. I mean, you got married young too.
Yeah, 21.
We got married so young, and I think there's this thought, and I've kind of lived that out. I had children young. I got married young, and there's this thought that, well, now I'll just live out the rest of my life and live happily ever after. And so time almost doesn't, not saying it doesn't matter, but I've always looked at time as, I'm going to watch my children get older. I'm going to be with my husband and grow old and sit on a patio and drink coffee in the morning and just watch the children walk to the school bus. And you know, like, that was my idea of time. And I realized the older I get, the better things get. I don't understand what that's about.
That's sweet.
Like, just like, you know,
that's
in my mind, I feel like I'm coming into myself. I'm becoming a person. I'm discovering so much more. I'm watching my children get older. I'm getting that. But then I have people and friends who've lost their children.
Wow,
and I'm like, oh no, you know, like, that was something I never even imagined or never even thought would or could happen. And it's when you start to see things happen in your I guess I'm realizing, because when you said that thing of like time can be an enemy, I've never thought of time as an enemy. I've always thought of it as like, oh, time heals all wounds, and you know, with time things get better. And I'm starting to realize, I guess for some other people, it's not always, especially if you don't have the things that you want
and it's almost like I'm further away from the memory of what I last experienced. Like I now it's literally becoming more and more of a memory. And I'm also losing parts of that memory, because you're almost like,
oh no,
like I don't being a wife for me is so distant. Being with someone daily is such a distant memory. I am so like single and traveling and all that stuff that the other day I literally was like, all right, I'm gonna book a flight and it is what it is. And I literally, after I booked a flight, I was like, wow, it's almost like there's grace for every season that you're in. And I think that if I see the beauty in where I am now, I'm not constantly thinking like, dang, I don't have this or that or whatever. But like I said, time is almost like it shows you and it reminds you of like, wait, I don't remember what it's like to be like, hey babe, like, you cool with me, you know? Not that, you know
Child,
what I'm saying?
give me that though. I'm like, sometimes I just be wanting to walk out the house.
But you know, sometimes it's almost like you want to know someone, you know, is covering you. Not that I don't have no one covering me, but you know, like, you want to know that someone is accountable for you. Or like, babe, did you get there? Did you eat? You know what I'm saying? You know, all that stuff is so foreign to me now.
Wow.
It's almost like this, I don't know, this like up and down situation where you're like, okay, I understand this is where I'm at and the things that I want, but what can I celebrate?
Question. I'm like, today I know. Questions. I love it though, but okay, in your healing, do you think that you're healing well? Like, I've had surgery before, and when my doctor looked at my scar, he was just like, you heal beautifully. And that always like made me, I was like, I'm taking that as a spiritual thing too. Like, I don't think that's just natural. I think that's spiritual as well. But I'm asking you, according to what you think, do you think that you've healed? Is your scar like healing beautifully? Is there a scar at all? Is it raised? Is it flat? Is it like,
you know what? That was a good question. Because my God, I feel like, man, you know what I struggle with? The behind the scenes, the things that don't really make it to the captions or the videos and all that stuff. And I mean, we all have like behind the scenes stuff. Like
BTS.
Okay. BTS in real life. We all have that, you know? I think for me, I feel like if I look back at my growth and just, you know, the fruit of my life, like, I feel like I've healed well. But because I know me and because I know my heart, I feel like there are certain parts of this scar that has some you know, some raises on it, you know, that are like, and I feel it when I am, you know, getting close to people. I feel it most in relationships.
Okay.
Because I almost feel like, oh my God, if I get close, like, what if they die? I know that sounds so like...
No, I get it. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. Like, you know, I think once you've been burned by fire, there is, because there's some part of trauma and the memory of it that protects you from experiencing that thing again.
It can.
But the larger part really probably damages us and stops us from living. I want us to be cautious and careful about open flames, but not be so afraid that we won't light a candle, you know, and recognize that there are certain, you know, situations where this is good and this is okay. And I think the weird thing about death is that the reality is everyone will go. And even with death, like, it doesn't even have to happen in terms of an actual person passing away. It can come with loss of a job, loss of relationship, loss of a dream, you know, a dream for your life not happening the way that you want it. Like, it's so many like parts of it. But, you know, for me, this is my life now, and it's like I've had to like build it up from the ground up, like just broke, and like I don't know what to do from here. Like, what do I do with my life, my career, and all this stuff? You know, life has really, like I said, kind of just flourished. And continues to flourish, but it's not perfect. Right.
It's not perfect.
Hello.
Because, girl,
Michelle, I've gotten us here safely in one piece.
listen.
Thank you so much for talking with me. We have arrived at our destination.
We have arrived.
I love you.
I love you more.